What do you get when you cross a soap opera, a mad scientist convention, and a lifetime supply of bad luck? The answer is wearing a lab coat and has an unpronounceable last name, Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz. Heinz's life has always been one long series of unfortunate events. If there was a wrong way to do something, Heinz would not only find it, he would patent it. He seemed to have a talent for finding himself in the most absurd and unfortunate situations, as if the universe itself had decided to use him as its personal comedy sketch. Today we're going to explore every little detail of Heinz's miserable existence, from the moment that he was born until the present day. Let's go! Dr. Heinz's life began in the small fictional country of Drusselstein. Born into a family that seemed to miss the memo on affection, Heinz's arrival was overshadowed by his parents' notable absence from the delivery room, which shouldn't be possible. But that's how powerful the negative energy in his life was right from the beginning. Growing up, Heinz found himself perpetually in the shadow of his younger brother, Roger. Roger was the golden child who could do no wrong in the eyes of their parents. Heinz, on the other hand, couldn't catch a break. His parents' blatant favoritism went to absurd lengths. One particularly scarring aspect of his childhood involved Heinz being forced to wear dresses to school for an entire year. The dresses were originally intended for Roger, as his parents had expected a girl, and his mother ended up knitting a ridiculous amount of girls' clothing. But believe it or not, that wasn't even the worst part of his childhood. For a period of time, Heinz was abandoned by his parents and raised by ocelots. Shockingly, their reason for eventually reclaiming him was even worse than abandoning him in the first place. Perhaps one of the most bizarre episodes of his childhood, his parents only reclaimed him in an effort to save money on lawn gnomes, deciding that he would serve the role instead. For years, Heinz was made to stand motionless in the front yard, rain or shine, day or night, as a human lawn gnome to ward off pesky creatures. This peculiar task not only deprived him of a normal childhood, but also ingrained a sense of absurdity in him that would follow him into his later years. It seemed like he had hit rock bottom, but little did he know life was just warming up. He tried his best to rely on himself and be independent. He arranged his own birthday parties, where he was the only attendee, and he later worked in a dunking booth, filling the illustrious position of not the donkey, but the object being hurled at the target. As Heinz's isolation deepened, he created his first best friend, a balloon named Balloony. He treated Balloony not just as an inanimate object, but as a trusted confidant, going so far as to use his own inventions to ensure its longevity. However, just like everything else in his life, this friendship was destined for tragedy. During a particularly stormy night, while young Heinz was forced to stand outside, a gust of wind carried Balloony away into the night sky. Devastated, Heinz could only watch helplessly as his soul friend drifted off into the darkness, leaving him more alone than ever. Coming out of childhood, Heinz's teenage years were no less tragic. His parents, ever supportive, tricked him onto a boat heading to America, where he would face a whole new set of misadventures. He naively believed that working hard and pouring his soul into gadgets that were supposed to be revolutionary was gonna get him recognition, but he was upstaged by the same baking soda volcano year after year at his high school's science fair. His attempts to stand out only seemed to backfire spectacularly. In one particularly cringe-worthy incident, he made a video of himself dancing in nothing but his underwear and a cape screaming, "I'm a superstar!" The video somehow found its way onto the internet and went viral, preventing him from leaving his apartment out of embarrassment. He tried to devote his life to poetry at one point too, but he somehow managed to lose to a baking soda volcano yet again. Don't ask me how. All in all, it was a period that would make most people bitter. But Heinz? He just became an evil scientist. Seeking to hone his villainous skills, Heinz enrolled in Evil School. There, he struggled through classes like Evil 101. His professor, Dr. Gavarlik, really hated and tormented him, despite him constantly trying to impress her. Determined to carve out a niche for himself, Heinz founded Doofenshmirtz Evil Inc., a company dedicated to his outlandish schemes. The enterprise, much like Heinz's life, was a mix of ambition and comic misfortune. Despite his grand plans, most of his schemes were laughably ineffective, often foiled by his nemesis, Perry the Platypus. Heinz's determination remained unshaken though, and he continued to devise elaborate plans, hoping that one day he would achieve the recognition he so desperately craved. Anyway, let's move on to his love life. Yes, he did have a love life and did manage to get dates somehow, so there's no excuse for you. Not that they went great or didn't end horribly though. Starting from his teenage years, his first date was ruined by a bully named Big Black Boots Boris, a character whose only purpose is to show up and kick sand in his face. Then there was Fräulein, Heinz's object of affection during his shadow puppet show days. He lost that one to another puppeteer with bigger hands named Huge Hands Hans. But wait, it gets better. Remember Linda Flynn? Yes, that Linda Flynn, future mother of Phineas and Ferb. Our Heinz actually scored a date with her at a drive-in movie. His romantic strategy? Hide her in the trunk to save on ticket prices and then suggest splitting the cost of his ticket. Smooth, doof, real smooth. Unsurprisingly, this didn't lead to a second date. However, Linda inadvertently planted the seed for Heinz's future evil schemes, suggesting he aim for ruling the tri-state area instead of the whole world.
Maybe instead of, the whole world, start small with the tri-state area.
Thanks, Linda. Doofenshmirtz's romantic resume includes a slew of disastrous dates. But let's not forget the one relationship that actually worked, for a while at least. That would be his relationship with Charlene, the woman who became Mrs. Doofenshmirtz and mother to the ever-sarcastic Vanessa. Sadly, even evil geniuses aren't immune to divorce, and they split up due to incompatibility. Other notable romantic interests included Elizabeth, the whale-obsessed girlfriend who he had one of the funniest and saddest dates ever with. Elizabeth was absolutely obsessed with whales, and wanting to do something nice for her, Heinz decided to build a whale translator-inator, a device that would allow her to listen in on whale conversations. Unfortunately for Heinz, his invention worked perfectly this time, too perfectly. As soon as he turned it on, a whale told Elizabeth that Heinz was a loser and that she should hang out with him instead. Without missing a beat, Elizabeth got up and jumped into the ocean, riding off into the sunset on her new boyfriend's back and leaving Heinz behind. Last but not least, let's talk about Heinz's one and only true love, his daughter Vanessa. Sure, it's not romantic love, but man, does this evil scientist have a soft spot for his kid? The wannabe evil overlord is always trying to connect with his snarky teenage daughter. Vanessa, a typical teenager, is constantly rolling her eyes at her dad's latest evil scheme, while Heinz is constantly trying to be the cool dad, and failing miserably most of the time. Here's the thing though, beneath all the eye-rolling and exasperated sighs, there's some real father-daughter love going on. Vanessa might act like she's too cool for her dad's antics, but she's got his back when it counts. Like that time she went on a wild goose chase for Pizzazium Infinianite just because her dad needed it for an innator. And Heinz? He's just a dad trying to figure out this whole parenting gig while also, attempting to take over the tri-state area. No biggie. He might not win Father of the Year anytime soon, but his heart's in the right place, even if his evil schemes aren't. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and we'd really appreciate it if you could help us reach that milestone faster. Thanks in advance, and see you in the next one.